We are right here in the streets of Denver, Colorado, where thousands of protesters across the city and across the state have taken to the streets to protest Donald Trump's administration along with Elon Musk's Department of Government Efficiency. This is in response to tariffs that the president has put in place that has affected thousands of goods across the entire country. We are right here in the middle of Denver, Colorado at Civic Center Park, where Bernie Sanders and AOC just had their Fighting Oligarchy tour to address issues inside the federal government that they believe are a threat to democracy. National news has picked up what is potentially unlawful Venezuelan gangs right here in Colorado. The situation has gotten so intense that former President Donald Trump himself is right here to speak about what he believes is a danger to our community. We're outside of the Air Force Academy where the Thunderbirds are getting ready to have their annual showing at tomorrow's graduation. Now, normally the Thunderbirds usually have everything ready to go, all suited up the day of to get ready with tomorrow's proceedings. However, they have decided to take tonight as a time of early practice. It has been a whirlwind 72 hours for multiple federal programs across the country ever since Donald Trump announced a federal funding freeze for various financial and federal aid programs. Now, it should be announced that as of Wednesday night, President Trump has officially rescinded the order. However, there were still multiple federal loans and federal aid programs across the country that were put on notice by this order, including Colorado State University. The freeze included suspending hundreds of federal programs that dispersed financial aid until further notice. The Trump administration stated that the freeze was in an effort to stop programs that assisted immigration, foreign aid, and diversity, equity, and inclusion. Hello Rams, this is JJ McKinney with breaking news. CTV has just learned as many as 5 students have had their visas stripped by the Department of Homeland Security. We have reached out for the reason why the visas were revoked, and Colorado State University stated that they are not able to give any more information at this time. Today, communities from all across the county came together to give kids everything they needed to start the year off right. Over 60 organizations, from churches to government organizations to nonprofits, donated funds and backpacks full of school supplies. Overall, over 12,000 backpacks were given out to local students in the 2 Backpack Bash events. While this year's event is over, Cuz I Love You hopes to host more charity events in the future. All right, Grace, back to you. Gilbert Leo is an RA at Colorado State University, and like many RAs, he was expected to get his room and board paid for this semester by the university's financial aid office and housing and dining services. But a clerical error between housing and the financial aid office means Gilbert and other RAs are being hit with a hefty bill they were never expecting to pay.
The financial aid office is asking me to pay around $16K, if not more.
Gilbert and his mom are going through college at the same time, working together to pay for their education. The discount RAs earn through room and board is necessary to make ends meet.
It's putting both me and my mom in a financial burden. Overall, just having to navigate and also deal with the fact that I'm not just an RA, but I'm a medical assistant, I'm a peer mentor, and I'm also involved at CSU. Really, it makes me feel like I have to put more work, try to pay off my tuition, rather than try to enjoy my own experience here at CSU.
So far, potentially as many as 48 RAs across campus have been affected. Gilbert is not alone in this, as Elizabeth Brink is also facing these financial hardships and is having to resort to her own way of paying FAFSA's bills.
I come from a family of 6. There's 4 kids. All of us are going to college. All of us are paying our way through college. So I'm looking at taking out external loans to cover that new amount that I have to pay.
In a statement to CTV, CSU acknowledges the problem and the mistakes they made, stating that these bills were never supposed to be sent to the RAs in the first place. However, the university cannot legally give out funds for RAs' room and board. The Housing and Dining Services and the Office of Financial Aid are working to find a solution for the RAs impacted. But RAs have different ideas about what should happen next, and hope that something is done about this situation.
Housing and Dining Services and financial aid, I would recommend that both staff are more sympathetic or even empathetic towards RAs that are going through this situation, and not so like this turning them away.
Ceasefire! When do we want it? Now! What do we want? Ceasefire! When do
Shay Jennings has been a member of the Fort Collins community for years now, as a protester for change.
I think for fighting against justice, I will come out here until literally my dying breath. I will be out here fighting for people who need it.
So, when Jennings saw the violence targeted towards the Palestinian community both domestically and abroad in the Israel-Hamas conflict, she took action.
Hearing just the atrocities that are occurring in Palestine for the last 75 years, we're going on 76 now. It's horrible. It's a horrible thing to see. I was raised to treat people the way I wanted to be treated, and I don't think Arab people, I don't think people outside of the U.S. should be treated any less.
And she wasn't alone, as dozens of members of the Fort Collins community took to the streets to march in protest of the Israel-Hamas war. The conflict, which has been ongoing for decades now between the Palestinian and Israeli people, was reignited on October 7th when Hamas carried out a terrorist attack on Israel, including a plane attack on a music festival in Kibbutz Yam and bombings and kidnappings in several cities, according to the Associated Press. Since then, Israel has retaliated with multiple bombings across the Gaza Strip, targeting what they believe to be Hamas strongholds. However, some, like organizer Shahab al-Haddad, cannot agree with the way Israel has historically treated Palestinian civilians in the conflict.
Jews are allowed only in certain sections, or in all sections, and Arabs are only allowed in certain sections. They're identified by special ID card. They're never allowed Israeli citizenship, no matter what they do. Students are suffering tragedies, but there needs to be a step up from CSC, from public organizations, from the government to maintain the peace in the world. And just recognize that there are innocents being murdered.
Jennings and al-Haddad organized this protest together to ensure chants calling for a ceasefire and a free Palestine rang throughout campus.
Now back to the events on campus here, it's mostly about raising awareness. CSU NSA is hoping to host guest speakers about Palestine 101 sessions to just educate about what's going on in that region, so people are getting knowledge and getting what the truth of what's happening.
As the Israel-Hamas war rages on, no matter where they are, citizens will continue to protest for what they believe is right.
It is important for students to have their voices, because yes, in the modern world politics, every voice matters.
Every day that I wake up that they are still being bombed is definitely a day that I have to get up and have the energy and have the power. I was not given a voice to not speak up. I was not given feet to not march for people who need it. I was not given hands to call my senators, to make a sign, to hold up this heavy megaphone. All these things I was gifted with, why won't I use it for good?
Welcome back, Rams. I'm still J.J. McKinney. The United States Department of Agriculture defines food insecurity as a lack of consistent access to enough food to live an active, healthy life. Food insecurity is a problem that affects millions of Americans across the country. According to the USDA food security status of U.S. households in 2023, over 18 million households were food insecure, with almost 7 million struggling so much that their eating patterns were disrupted. With food insecurity being a widespread problem across the city, multiple organizations are doing their part to ensure that no one in the community goes hungry. Ro Wilson Scott has experienced the difficulties of finding affordable food firsthand.
I was a second-year student who had just moved off campus, and I was like, oh my gosh, like groceries are really expensive, and I was looking for a way to make it a little bit more affordable, and instead of going to King Soopers all the time. So I came in here and was, wow, like we've got a lot of really good stock. This is amazing. Trying to make like the feeling that I had as a sophomore of like, wow, like this resource is like for me, and it's like been helping me a lot. I wanted to share that with a lot of other folks.
By traveling across the country, Sanders and Cortez aim to rally the population against President Donald Trump's administration and its supporting billionaires.
What I think the worst addiction in this country is, the most dangerous, and that is the greed of the oligarchs.
Cortez joined in on Senator Sanders' message, speaking on what she believes is a dangerous time in American history as billionaires gain more influence in the U.S. government.
We are witnessing an oligarchy in America. When those with the most economic, political, and technological power destroy the public good to enrich themselves while millions of Americans pay the price.
In hope for a bipartisan movement that unites the working class of Americans to push for reform in the federal government. With these races determining who keeps control of the U.S. Senate and the House of Representatives, citizens vote on key issues. Candidates across the country encouraged everyone to vote as well, and Colorado was no exception, as Governor Jared Polis, Senator Michael Bennet, and Congressman Joe Neguse made a surprise visit to campus to talk to CSU students. Congressman Joe Neguse, Senator Michael Bennet, and Governor Jared Polis stopped by Colorado State University to talk to CSU students about the upcoming midterm elections. The politicians stopped by campus to ensure that college students were aware of the importance of voting in this election. They went over topics concerning youth communities such as college tuition, affordable housing, and healthcare.
We also need to make the cost of a college education less. There's a lot more we need to do, but we're really focused on making sure that higher education isn't out of reach for any family, no matter how much they earn or where they're from or their background.